Nistidinkom il-kol kemm intom fil-kċina Maltija llum. Jien Mary Rose Aquilina. So welcome to our kitchen, and today we are going to be making something that's very hearty. I'm going to make a very hearty soup. In Maltese, it's called Kawlata. It is a soup that is full of vegetables, and it's also made with fresh pork hock and some sausages to give it a little bit more body. If you're vegetarian, you can leave those out, no problem, and just use the vegetables. It's okay. So jekk inti ma tikolx laħam, tista' tħallih barra u tagħmel il-kawlata bil-ħaxix biss. Ħafna drabi hekk kienu jagħmluha skont x'jistgħu jsibu bħala laħam. Okay, mela hawnhekk għandna l-ewwel qed għandna il-siq tal-majjal friska. Not smoked. Make sure it's not smoked. It's got to be a fresh pork hock, and also raw sausages. We are going to cook them up though, so not to worry about that. Okay. In addition to that, okay, we have some, and I've cut up everything because I think you all know how to cut vegetables, right? I've got some celery, 3 stalks of celery here. And is that ready? Because it's getting too hot. 3 stalks of celery. I've got an onion, a white onion, again chopped in fairly sized pieces because you want to be able to taste the vegetables, right? Jekk tqatawhom żgħar kollox m'intix se ttom il-ħaxix tajjeb. Din hija ġidra, it's a kohlrabi. Again, I've cut it up in pretty chunky pieces. I have 2 fair-sized thick carrots. You can put a tomato with that. I chop up a tomato. I prefer to use the baby tomatoes. They're sweeter and they have a lot more taste. Jien nippreferi nuża daw mill-inqatta tadama fiha inqas ikunu merqin. U żewġ patatiet, il-patata wkoll qattajta naqra mhux ħażin. So you want to make sure that you leave the potato large so that it will hold its shape in the soup as it is cooking and it doesn't get too soft and mushy. I have 2 teaspoons of dried thyme. I have 1 teaspoon of coriander seeds that have been mashed a little bit. If you don't have any coriander seeds, then you can feel free to use coriander powder. Just use only about half a teaspoon to 3/4 of a teaspoon. Salt and pepper, of course. Or the star of the soup is the cabbage. I like to use Savoy cabbage because it's a little bit easier on your stomach. And also it doesn't take as long to cook. It's just a little bit nicer. But if you prefer the other cabbage, that's fine too. And of course we have some vegetable stock biex nżidu wara li jsir il-ħaxix. Bżaru melħ u fl-aħħar għandna il-fażola. Jien nħobb nżida l-fażola wkoll. You can use the canned beans for it towards the end. But I like to actually soak the dry ones from the night before and then cook them the next day before I actually put them in the soup. But it's your choice. Either one is just fine. Okay, so now the sausages and the hock have taken a bit of color. I'm going to take them out of the pot so we can actually start putting in the vegetables and start sauteing them a little bit. Okay. And there's the hock. All right, so dawn nisaw nwarrubuhom għal-issa u naqbdu insajru il-ħaxix. So I'm going to add a little bit more oil. It didn't release very much oil, really, the pork hock. I'm using vegetable oil. Sorry, I'm using olive oil, but you can use vegetable oil, you can use canola oil, you can use sunflower oil. You don't need a whole lot of it. Okay, so we're ready to do that, and we'll start adding the vegetables then. Make sure it's a little bit hot. And we'll start sauteing the vegetables. It's probably easier with this. Add the garlic. Don't add it at the bottom when you first start putting the vegetables, the garlic, so it doesn't burn on you. Okay, twedbux mill-ewwel it-tewm ħalli ma jinħaraqilkomx u l-patata. In the meantime, I'm going to cut the cabbage, so we'll be ready to put it in as well. And atta l-kaboċċa. Take out the stalk. Aqtaw it-sok minna. So inħalli l-ħaxix jisir naqra mux ħażin qabel ma nżid il-kaboċċa. We're going to let the vegetables that are in there kind of take a little bit of browning and soften a little bit before we actually add the cabbage. That way they get a chance to kind of go down inside, cook up a little bit. Then we'll add the cabbage. The cabbage, really, we can add it before we add the stock. Is-siq tal-majjal u l-salset qegħdin fil-qiegħ. I've already put the sausages and the pork hock in there, and we'll add the vegetable. Jekk ma tkomx biżżejjed biex tarquha, tista' żiduha naqra ilma. If you don't have enough vegetable stock, you can just add a little bit more water. Okay. Your tomato paste, you need a good tablespoon. That's 1 teaspoon. 2, 3, that should do it. Here we are. I think I need to buy a bigger pot. Naħseb li għandi bżonn a much bigger pot than this. Naqra oħra melħ. Għoddu attenti għax l-stock li tużaw għabli tkun fiha meħ biżżejjed. You know, the stock that you use, especially if it's a ready-made stock, which is fine, but it just might be already salty, so just watch your salt addition, okay? So there you are. That's a nice pot full of soup that we're going to have. That should serve probably the neighborhood. Okay, so we're going to let it take its time cooking. And once it's just about ready, we'll join you again. We add the beans and let it cook up for, like I said, this needs to cook up for a good hour and a half, if you can afford that time. It should be just so to make sure that the meat is all cooked up. Okay, mela is-soppa lesta. Il-fażola ħatwadda b'taftit qabel ma spiċċat. So ġaqeda mekka, lajt il-laħam u għattajtu. So the soup is all done. I've taken the meat out of there, cut it all up so we can add it to the soup separately. Make sure nothing kind of like falls down at the bottom of the soup. And yeah, and the butter beans are already in the soup as well. So let's kind of dish out a little bit then. So I'm going to take some of the meat. Make sure everybody gets some of the sausages. As you can see, the meat is all cooked through. And the skin is your preference, so I'm going to leave it because not everybody particularly likes it. And look at that. Look at how all the wonderful vegetables that are in there. The butter beans, carrots, kohlrabi. It's just such a wonderful soup in the winter, especially, that it warms your heart and it warms your stomach. So a little bit of grated cheese on top, and a little bit of parsley. If you have fresh, it's actually even better. I don't happen to have fresh with me today. Okay, and that's it. Kawlata. I don't know if you can see it properly. Okay. Grazzi ħafna tal-li kontu maħna l-lum, nispera din l-riċetta oġbitkom. I do hope that you enjoyed this cooking show and that you will try the kawlata, and if you haven't already done so. But anyway, especially in the winter, when it's nice and cold outside, a bowl of this will just set you right. Okay, thank you so much for being with us, and we hope to see you soon again for another recipe from the Maltese kitchen.